Good morning, everyone. My name is Jody Button-McHale, and I work with the foundation. We didn't actually have an opportunity to know these women's names, so may I just share with you our immense gratitude to actresses Charlotte Northeast, Jaylene Clark Owens, Claire Ine Richards, and Mary Beth Schrader for their marvelous reading. And of course, for guest artistic director, who was just up here, Catherine McMillan, and also for Theatre Horizon for being such an extraordinary gem in this community. So, I have a very few short notes to start the program. For those of you who might wish to use Wi-Fi, there is a password that you'll find on the front page of your program within the burgundy. It's at the bottom. It's a set of digit numbers. Number two, you'll see that on the left-hand side, there'll be handouts in order of our presenters today, but there'll also be some materials coming to you subsequently when we write to thank you in the next day or so. And the last thing is you'll notice that there are some folks taking some photographs and some videography, predominantly for use on our website or promotional reasons. If any of you are uncomfortable with that, please just see me at some point. I'll snap a picture of your face and make sure that it never sees the light of day. By way of introduction, the foundation over the last years has chosen to develop a sustained commitment to strengthening the assets of both current and emerging, aspiring leaders in this region. We hope that what continues to make this particular convening today uniquely meaningful is the opportunity to address each topic as it relates first to your own personal well-being and your growth, and then to how that effectively can be translated to your professional success and to the enhancement of the organization you may seek to serve increasingly well. So we're focused on you, but we've had a strong sense these last years that many of the things we choose to share with you are very much related to the way in which you choose to do work in your community and in your workplaces. The first of our presenters is Beverly Williams. She's the founder and the owner of Continuum Executive Coaching. Beverly is a highly experienced coach and facilitator who excels at connecting and creating the trusted partnerships needed to get leaders unstuck and to inspire personal and professional change. In her role as an executive coach, she works with leaders of all levels on executive presence, conflict resolution, confidence, resilience, and self-awareness. Beverly's work background spans over 20 years in corporate leadership roles for global organizations. She holds a BS degree from Lincoln University, is a trained certified professional coach, has clocked hundreds of coaching hours, and is certified to administer and interpret something you may know about the EQI 2.1 Emotional Intelligence Assessment. Her focus today is on confidence, a presentation that she has entitled, What's Holding You Back? Maybe It's You. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Beverly Williams.
Thank you, Jody. Delighted to be here this morning to talk about this very important topic. So just to get us started, imagine or have a vision of a little girl sitting in a classroom, fearful to raise her hand to use the restroom. Uncomfortable to the point of tears. She didn't have the courage to ask to use the ladies' room. Now picture, if you will, this same young lady in grade school, college, high school, too afraid to join drama club, too afraid to join a sports team, too afraid to participate in a debate club. Why? She didn't have the courage or the confidence to believe in herself that she was smart enough, pretty enough, intelligent enough to be a part of these organizations. So she goes through high school and college, basically unseen. Don't notice me. I'm not here. I'm not confident enough to show up for you. Now picture, if you will, this same young lady in the workplace, in a meeting room, sitting in a chair along the side. not wanting to be at the table, not wanting to be seen. Picture this young lady with so many great ideas about innovation, process improvement, changes that need to be made in the workplace, but can't find her voice to bring her ideas to life. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it starts in childhood, this lack of confidence. Why, you ask yourself, why as a little girl was I afraid to raise my hand to use the restroom? Why in high school and college did I not want to join organizations? Because I didn't believe, I didn't trust, I didn't want to take those risks to prove my worth, to prove my value. So here I am in the workplace, and I still exhibit those behaviors of lack of confidence. I was traveling a couple weeks ago, and when you're traveling, and those of you that travel, you can relate to this, in order to entertain yourself, you people watch, yes? You people watch, because this is how you entertain yourself. You're on the road, you're by yourself, so you just kind of insert yourself and watch other people. So it was a table of 3 ladies, and I could tell it was a mother and 2 daughters and a grandchild, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm eating, and so the one lady says, I can't do anything right. I am always messing up everything for everybody. I said, this is interesting for my topic, right? Let me listen some more here. Let me get some more intel here, right? And so she's like, everything I do is wrong. I just do everything wrong. I'm just such a mess up. So the waitress comes over, takes the order, and she says to the waitress, oh, it's my fault, it's my fault that I'm delaying this order. I just mess up everything, I'm just so messy. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, please, I hope she's not having coffee. Because she was completely unhinged. But that was her belief. Her belief was that she was messy, that she didn't have that value that you need to have in yourself. So I'm curious, we're in a safe space here. By show of hands, how many people at some point in your life struggled with self-doubt and lack of confidence? That says a lot. That says a lot. And that's me. I struggled with that. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That story about the little girl in the grade school that was me. That's my story. And I know everybody has a story about when you didn't have the courage to say something, when you were fearful about presenting your ideas. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about courage and overcoming that fear. Take a moment, if you will, to read this quote. So many people think you're awesome and special and worthwhile. Why would you listen to the one person who thinks you're not? Well, guess what? That one person is you sometimes. It's you getting in the way of success. It's you getting in your way and not believing and not trusting that you are the best that you can be, believing in your awesomeness. So we're just going to come out the gate and say, first, believe in yourself, trust in yourself. So within minutes, what you'll learn today, you're going to learn, first of all, we're going to start with English class. We're going to start with defining confidence. Then we're going to talk about the confidence gap, which exists all the time. The difference between how men are confident and how women, we still are a little bit behind in the confidence realm, right? Then we're going to talk about how self-doubt can get in the way of creativity. Because if you doubt yourself and you don't trust yourself, how can you be creative? How can you bring ideas to life? And then we're going to talk about your sewing kit to confidence. So you're familiar with toolboxes and tool belts and using them and how to use them. Well, guess what, ladies? There's the sewing kit. We have a sewing kit. So we're not going to talk about tools. We're going to talk about our sewing kit. Any crafters in the room? Yes, definitely. So you understand the value of what you need when you craft. So we'll start with the definition here. So what is confidence? Back to English class. Confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, a firm trust. And I have that highlighted in red, trust, because it starts with trusting in yourself. A feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's abilities and qualities. Understanding your value, understanding your self-worth, right? Then you have your synonyms: trust, belief, faith, credence, conviction, self-confidence, self-possession, assertiveness. And that's a whole different conversation, assertiveness versus aggressiveness with women. That's with Jody next year. That's a topic for next year. What does this picture represent? Anybody? Interpret this picture for me. Anybody? What does this picture represent for you? How do you interpret this picture? What is it? I'm sorry. It's getting squashed. Getting squashed. Okay. Anybody else? I'm here. You're here? Oh, okay. Yep. So, I saw a hand up. Yes. We're holding ourselves back. Absolutely. So there's the little you, right? There's the little you with the bullhorn, right? But what is that little you saying? Is that little you saying, go girl? Or is that little you saying, you're not worth anything? You are messy. You're not pretty. Those are not the right pumps you have on today. Right? Why'd you wear black pumps? You should have worn navy blue or red pumps. It's always something with us. It's always something with us, right? You think about when somebody gives you a compliment. You look great today. I really like your hair like that. Oh, this? Oh, this old thing? It's been in my closet forever. Oh. Instead of accepting the compliment, right? So here's a little exercise I want you to do at your table, real brief. Look at the person next to you and give them a compliment. That is incredible. This is incredible. This is incredible. Do you hear the buzz in the room? Do you hear that? That is incredible. I'm getting chills right now. I am getting chills right now because of the buzz in the room with you sharing and giving each other compliments, right? And being able to take that compliment in and be comfortable with that without saying, this old thing, oh, did that feel good? It sounded good? Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. That sounded really, really good. Yes.
Are you going to share these with us?
Yes.
Okay, because then I don't have to take notes.
You don't have to take notes, but I'll have you do some work a little bit later. Okay, great. So we're going to talk about now the confidence gap. And so where I got this information from is Katie Kay, who is a BBC reporter. She does work for ABC, she does work for MSNBC, she's written the book Womenomics. Currently, she's writing another book with Claire Shipman, and it's all about making women better and more self-aware of ourselves as moms in the workplace. So Katie Kay got together with 100 women in Silicon Valley to talk about the confidence gap and to talk about what does that look like? What does this confidence gap look like? And so what they found is that compared to men, women are less likely to feel confident even though we're doing better academically. We're doing academically. So you can have a woman enter the room with a PhD, let's say, and still not have the confidence that she needs to share her ideas or make them come to life. She may be the only woman in the room, the only person in the room that has a PhD. But yet and still, oftentimes, she still doesn't think she's smart enough or can add the value to the conversation, but academically definitely surpasses. So then they went on, Katie Kay and her group of 100 women in Silicon Valley. They did a Columbia Business School of New York study that found that men tend to overestimate their abilities by 30%. Okay? It's higher. It's higher. And so Columbia Business School describes this as honest self-confidence. And they call it honest self-confidence is because men believe this. It's not that they're trying to be devious. They really true believe this about themselves. So that's what they uncovered here in Silicon Valley, these 100 women, right? It's because men believe in themselves more than we do. That's why the numbers are so high. And so research studies also report that women will apply for positions when they won't apply for positions when they don't meet 100% of the requirements. Whereas men will apply for positions when they only meet 60% of the requirements, right? So think about if you've been in the job search and you look at a job description and you say, I have 3 of the requirements, I'm walking away from it. I can't do it. But yet and still 3 of those requirements might be something that's really, really, really good for the role. Whereas a man looks at the job description and says, I can do that. And if I don't go in and I don't know it, guess what? I'm going to learn how to do it. And also keep in mind, ladies, that men also benefit incredibly from mentorship and from sponsors. And so I can't tell you how many of these sessions that we do, and I encourage women, if you don't have a mentor or mentors or sponsors, make it your business to get them. Because they're the ones that are going to support you. They're the ones that you can bounce ideas off of. They're the ones that you can get together in a safe space and practice. Or hire an executive coach. So on scientific reasoning quizzes, they realized that women say they less performed than they actually did. Again, that's going back to that self-doubt. I don't think I did that well on that test. Like, I'm having butterflies in my stomach. I really don't think I did well on that test. Well, men will take the same exact test and say, I knocked it out the ballpark. I killed it. I slayed it. That's what a man would say, right? But here we go, ladies. Ooh, I don't think I did that good. I could just kick myself. I could have done better. Well, guess what? The studies show that they're basically performing the same. It's just that our perceptions of how we view ourselves when we're doing these scientific quizzes and our self-doubt, that fear, that lack of faith, not trusting that we slayed it, that we killed it, that we nailed it. Most times we do. So believe that, right? And so we underestimate our abilities and our talents. That's just, some women would say, but it's in our DNA. We're hardwired that way. But we're not. And what you're going to learn today is that this lack of confidence, this self-doubt can be changed. It can be turned around. You don't have to accept the fact that you're not confident. You don't have to accept the fact that you're not at that level where you want to believe. Love yourself. Believe in yourself. You can turn it around. And we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation how you can go about doing that. Ah, you saw that, didn't you? That's going to be fun. So how do we close the confidence gap? First of all, just what we said earlier, you have to be honest about your abilities and your talents, right? You have to believe in yourself. You have to trust. And there's an R word that we haven't even talked about, risk. To be a risk taker. And in order to be a risk taker, you have to trust that whatever risk you're going to take is going to work out just fine. Believe in your talents and your abilities. Going back to the academics, you didn't go to school and get all these degrees. You don't have your professional background and your history for no reason. You worked hard to get those things. So showcase them. If you ever had the exercise of having to write a bio or update your resume, and it takes time for self-reflection to really get into your accomplishments. And then you step away from that process and you say, damn, I'm good. I had no idea I accomplished so much. It's really sometimes a good exercise to sit down and do a little report card for yourself. Even if you're not doing a resume, even if you're not doing a bio, to actually sit down and do some self-reflection and recognize the awesomeness that you have and the contributions that you bring to this world. Bullet number 2. Can we relate? We put everybody else in front of ourselves. We will take care of our husbands, our spouses, our partners, our children, our co-workers, our job. We will take care, the pet. We will put everything and everybody ahead of ourselves. So in order to close this confidence gap, you have to put yourself first and really get out of the people-pleasing business. Get out of it. Shutter the doors. Be done with it. Because that people-pleasing can often hold you back. So know when to close that door on people-pleasing. Bullet number 3. Somebody criticizes you, oh, you're rocked. Your world is shattered for a week or a month or a year. Right? You can't take that criticism. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. Oh, you can't get over it. You keep ruminating that mistake over and over again. Let it go. Know when to let these things go. Know when to let go of the criticisms. Know when to let go of any mistakes that you made. It goes back to the risk that we were talking about earlier, to be able to take the risk. If it didn't go well, oh well, I can fine tune it next time. You learn from your mistakes. You don't let it crumble you. You don't let it prevent you from moving forward. Bullet number 4, perfection. Perfection. What happened with good being good enough? Because what happens with trying to be perfect, you're even harder on yourself. You're harder on the project that you're working on. You're harder on the people on your team. Because if you're a perfectionist, you're going to drive them. You're going to drive them because you're trying to reach perfection. There is no such thing as perfection. Robots are perfect because they're programmed to be that way. We're not robots. We're people. We're flawed. So we're not going to achieve perfection. But if you get good, if you get very good, accept that that's good enough. And don't try to make it so perfect. Women as a gender struggle very much with perfection. And there could be many, many reasons why that happens, but it happens. So those are just a few bullets of closing the confidence gap. He keeps wanting to jump up and then disappear. So what you see here is a gremlin. Familiar with the movie The Gremlins? Okay, so this is a gremlin. And so the gremlin is part of what we're about to talk about, which is the Gales. No offense to any Gales in the room. This is not to offend any Gales in the room, right? But all of us, men and women alike, walk around with these Gales that lead to self-doubt. So let's get into them. So you have your gremlin. That was the picture that we just saw, right? So we're calling it gremlin. We're keeping it fun and light, right? But really what that gremlin is that inner critic. It's that inner critic in your head that tells you that you can't do something, that you can't be something. That's that inner critic. And we all know it when we hear it. It can be loud as an explosion sometimes, that inner critic in your head. Then you have the A, which is the assumption. Just because something happened before doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So if you go into a big presentation and maybe you didn't do so well on one presentation a week ago, it doesn't mean that going into this next presentation is still going to be a problem for you. Start with a clean page. Don't make the assumption that because something happened before, it's going to happen again. We all walk around with these Gales. We just didn't know how to define them till today. Interpretation, an opinion or judgment that you create about an event, a situation, person, or experience that you believe to be true. So you will go into a situation and you're interpreting before your experience what's going to happen. You're making these stories up in your head, right? That's what that is. So even before you even get through the door, you have already the gremlin, the assumption, the interpretation, and limiting beliefs. Before you even get to the front door, these are the Gales that you're dealing with. And so the limiting beliefs is something that you accept about life, about yourself, about your world, about people around you that limits you in some way. And so going back to the story I shared with you earlier, I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not athletic enough to do fill in the blanks. You go to the gym, you're ready to go forth and do your gym thing, and you see somebody else that's working out harder than you, lifting more weights than you can lift. You're like, oh, why am I even here? Or they're running on the treadmill like somebody's chasing them. And you're like, I can't run like that on the treadmill. Again, that is a limiting belief, right? You might be in a room of colleagues, confident colleagues, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I don't talk like that. My background is not like that. Why am I even sitting here? I don't belong here. That's a limiting belief. Let's poll again. How many people walk around with these gales? Absolutely. But until you recognize what they are, you can't change it. You can't turn it around. But the fact that I put this in front of you today, many of you are probably sitting there saying, oh, yes, I never knew what that was. Now I know what that is. It's a gale. And so in order to eliminate these gales and for you to be confident, you have to recognize them and be self-aware of them. So here's what I would like for you to do at your table, real quick. Share with your table, what are your limiting beliefs about you, the people around you, or your job? And then answer the questions below. Let's stir up some energy again in the room. What are your limiting beliefs? What are your limiting beliefs? What limiting beliefs do you have about yourself, about the people around you, or perhaps your job? And so I ask you, how true is that belief? Really? How true is that belief? Where did you get that idea from? Where did this limiting belief come from? And how has this belief affected you in life? And how can you let go of that belief? And we'll talk about action planning in a little bit. So ladies and gentlemen, this little exercise we're doing right here is all about self-awareness. What we're also doing is some self-reflection, looking inside yourself, holding up that mirror and recognizing what that limiting belief is so that you can take action on it. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you. Thank you. Once again, there was a buzz in the room and I'm getting chills again. How did it feel? How did it feel to actually be able to cleanse your soul and open up and reveal the limiting belief? How did that feel? Anybody willing to share? How did that feel to be able to identify your limiting belief and actually talk about it? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When was the last time you actually took the time to think about limiting beliefs and what they are and to be able to answer these questions here? We don't take that time for self-reflection, right? There was a question in the room about the story I shared. And I was asked, where did that come from? Did that come from your parents? Like, why were you afraid to raise your hand to use the restroom? Good question. And I appreciated being asked that question because it brings a whole different topic to the forefront. It's a combination of things. And full disclosure, I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and way back when, and we're talking way back when, the nuns were disciplinarians. And not only were they disciplinarians, but they were very regimented and on a schedule. So when you went to the restroom, you were supposed to go to the restroom when everybody else went to the restroom. You don't raise your hand in the middle and just say that you had to go, right? You were supposed to go when we told you to go. So the fear came from, if I raise my hand to have to go to the restroom, I'm off schedule. I'm not complying. And the other thing that I didn't even bring up that is coming to my mind now is women are also rule players. We follow the rules. We don't break the rules. We follow rules, right? Look at where that's gotten us. Playing by the rules. Thank you, Cheryl. And also, it's a combination of our upbringing. You know, who were our parents? What were the expectations of our parents, our mothers, our fathers? And again, this is not a psychological study, but it's definitely the truth of how some of this self-doubt, how some of this lack of confidence come to the surface. It has a lot to do with educational background. It has a lot to do with your upbringing. My mom was a very highly critical woman, but I appreciate her for that. I love her for that. That's why I'm the woman I am today, because she was going to make sure that you are going to get it right. Because guess what? Her generation, they had to, because they didn't have the privileges and the opportunities that we have today. So she wanted to make sure that I was playing right, that I wasn't playing in the litter box, I was playing in the sandbox. Thank you for asking that question. So this is going to be a quiet exercise for you to do in 5 minutes. If you look in your folders, there is a worksheet, the Confidence Gap worksheet. So what I would like for you to do, and you don't have to share this at the table, this is your own self-reflection. What is your confidence gap story? And don't worry about the second column. We're going to get there. So take 5 minutes. What is your confidence gap story? Quietly, 5 minutes. Again, you have this is your worksheet that you can take with you. I encourage you to definitely complete this, because this is what's going to help you with your self-doubt. This is something that's going to close the gap for you. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about confidence meets creativity. Research shows that when people are feeling confident, they reach for higher level goals and put more effort into achieving their goals, persevere despite setbacks, and they believe their efforts will result in successful outcomes. That's important, believing and having a vision that it's going to have a successful outcome. Hugely important to innovation, business performance, and goal achievement. So you think about, you may be working on something, a picture, or you might be painting, or you might be drawing something, or you might be working on a project or a task, and you're very, very excited about it, and it drives you forward. And then you think about not sharing it with certain people because what? They're going to criticize you. So you keep it close to the vest. You don't want to share it because you don't want to be open to that criticism. But in that moment when you're creating, you're so excited about it. So please understand that if you don't have the voice to share your ideas, or you don't have the confidence to share your ideas, you're holding back innovation, not just for your organizations, but for yourself. So the more excited and confident you are, the more your creative juices are on fire. And that's what makes the world go round. Creativity, innovation. This is how we move forward. So find that voice, find the voice to bring your ideas to life. So now we're going to talk about the sewing kit. So those of you who are crafters and us that are not, we can still relate to the sewing kit. So in your sewing kit, you have scissors, a thimble, thread, and you have a measuring tape. So starting with the scissors, for closing this confidence gap, cut out the gales, cut out the self-doubt, cut out the lack of trust, the lack of belief, the risk of avoidance, right? Cut them out. Use your scissors, cut those out. Then you have your thimble. Protect yourself from yourself and others. So what the thimble does is it protects your fingers. So when you're sewing and you use the needle, the thimble helps from you pricking your finger. So think about it the same way. The thimble can be used to protect yourself and from others. The thread. The thread is what you do and what you use to create something beautiful, to mend something, to repair something. That's what the thread does. And you take the thread and you pull it through the needle and you begin to create. You begin to repair. You begin to make something beautiful. All different color threads are in your sewing kit, right? And then, of course, you have the measuring tape. How can you measure how good you are unless you measure it? And that's what the measuring tape does. It measures your success. And it gives you an opportunity to celebrate your accomplishments when you're done. It's a very simple concept, but when you think about it, you have what you need in your sewing kit, and you can pull out any of those tools in your sewing kit that you need. So to give you an example, reporting out to senior management using the sewing kit, right? So we already talked about cutting out the self-doubt, cutting out the gales. That's the first thing you have to do before you present out to senior management. You have to make sure you get rid of all those limiting beliefs and get out of your head. That's the first thing you have to do, using your scissors. Then you plan, prepare, and practice. Don't dismiss your power. This is a powerful opportunity for you to present to senior management. Take advantage of it, right? Use confident words like, thank you for the opportunity to present today. The purpose of this meeting is pace yourself, keep it brief and to the point, and be willing to direct the conversation if necessary. Trust your judgment in the situation. That's threading everything together for you, right? Number 3. Go back to number 1. In the moment, it's very, very easy to let those limiting beliefs, those gales, come together, especially if you're sitting in the room and somebody is not fully engaged or somebody's making a face. It's easy for those gales and that self-doubt to come to the surface, but stay on point, stay focused, keep that thimble protecting you, right? And then your measuring tape. At the end of the presentation, evaluate yourself. What went well? What would I do differently next time? That's how you use your measuring tape. That's your sewing kit. That is your sewing kit. And so after you finish writing your confidence gap story, I encourage you to take some time to rewrite that story. Rewrite the story that you just wrote a couple minutes ago using your sewing kit. Rewrite the story to close that gap. You know what the story was when you first wrote it, but now you have some tools to use to rewrite that story. So I encourage you to do that. Don't just let it go. Anything worth changing is done through repetition. So if you want to change a habit, studies show about 20 to 30 days to change a habit, right? So your challenge is, and it's also in your folders, you have a 30-day confidence tracker. So here's the challenge. For 30 days, observe yourself displaying lack of confidence and you closing that gap. This takes a lot of self-awareness, But that's what's going to get you over the hurdle is self-awareness. 30 days. 30 days, track yourself, observe yourself, not being confident in situations and how you've used your sewing kit or how you've actually turned it around to be more confident. And then at the end of 30 days, how are you going to reward yourself? You'll see here, I will reward myself for reaching this goal by. So for 30 days, if you accomplish this for 30 days, you deserve a reward. So put that intention out there up front, how you're going to reward yourself after doing this. And you can use your confidence gap story if you like, but I'm sure you're going to have many stories as you go along. So read in the quote. Every time you enter a challenge, you are going outside your comfort zone, taking a risk and closing the confidence gap. So challenge yourself. And most importantly, have each other's backs, ladies. Have each other's backs. Find the support of your friends, family, co-workers, your board of directors. Find support and have them back you up. That's what this picture is all about. So I thank you for your time this morning. I hope you all will honor the 30-day challenge and that you'll be successful in building up your self-confidence and using your sewing kit. Thank you very much. Turn it over to Jody. Thank you.
As Beverly has suggested, it's indeed powerful to fully consider that what we accept about life, about ourselves, and about the people around us can so profoundly limit us, and that developing the confidence to fundamentally believe in oneself is absolutely critical to stepping into the unknown and persuading others to join us.